Hi everyone, welcome to Values. So today we're looking at Humacyte, and they just recently had their quarterly, so we're just going to run through that today. So I noticed on that day share price closed at $1.96. It broke that $2. I thought it would hold because that was around the capital raising price, but you can just never tell with this stock. Like short term wise, it's just going anywhere because it's got people shorting it, it's got people trading it, it's got people selling down, it's got just a lot of selling pressures on it, and of course there is a lot there's buyers as well, but just those just outnumber them at the moment. So it's just missing some extra confidence in terms of sales, and I think once that gets through, we see some uplift in the share price. So right now we just got, we've got confirmation in their quarterly that they've officially shipped out their first product, which is awesome. We've waited so long for them to actually get commercial and actually ship the product out. We know that 3 hospitals are officially approved, and there's 34 still in the VAC process, which could take 3 to 6 months. So hence why the sales are going to be at probably in the second half of the year. So this quarter is about to end since it's the end of March, and they've shipped several of these units out, so probably 1 to 200,000 in terms of revenue, which isn't a lot of course, but next quarter I think will be more substantial. Would probably see anywhere between 1 to 3 million in terms of revenue, and then I think it starts to ramp up on the following quarters, which possibly with the recent raise they may be able to hold off raising on after they've got enough money definitely for 2 quarters. On a quarter after that, they may or may not have to raise depending on how sales goes. If sales goes well, maybe they do a small raise, or they do a raise at the start of next year. So we'll just have to see how things go, because obviously they've been spending a lot more money ramping up the current inventory. So if we jump into the revenues, which obviously there's no revenues yet, since this ended in December 31st. We saw loss of operations was $28 million. So this is, you can see where their main cash use is. It's in research and development. So until the product was approved, a lot of the inventory cost was actually recognized in the R&D. So going forward into next, until when they report the next quarter, we'll start to see some separations in terms of that, since they're officially selling the product, so they can have a line that says cost of goods sold. So if we look at in their official burn for the whole year, it's about 114 million. So we've got this stuff down here which is like change in fair value, but that's non-cash. That's just an accounting kind of change in value, but it doesn't use up any of their cash. So apart from this other income side of things, which can use up cash obviously, but the main use is obviously from the loss operations, which we can see by this line here. So it was about 114 million. So that's kind of where they need to be kind of producing in terms of sales for Symvess to become self-sustainable. Once they get to that level, I think, obviously things look fantastic from there, but obviously we have to wait for sales to continue to ramp up. So at the moment, there's not a lot to look at in terms of these financials, except how much money they're going to continue to burn. So with the recent raise of 50 million minus a few million for the costs, and then extra money that they still have left, there's definitely enough for 2 quarters. It's the quarter after that, after those 2 quarters, that it's difficult to tell depending on how sales goes and how much they spend on the next 2 quarters as well. So yeah, in terms of that, those are the main kind of talking points. In terms of sales, there was kind of the range of $7 to $13 million that the CEO said that analysts came up with, but she roughly agrees with them that it probably could be in that range. So at the moment it's very early to really make a good prediction. So like even like the CEO couldn't make a good prediction at the moment. So she would likely just go after the analysts, because if you go after analysts, it's the analysts getting it wrong. If she starts to make her own projections, then obviously there's a lot more weighing on her after that. So for the time being, she's just used the analyst numbers of 7 to 13 million, which I don't think the market was that pleased. I think the market kind of wanted things to be a much more higher, and they could be, but we don't know because it's so early in the sales process. I think we get a much better idea after the next quarter. In terms of how many hospitals are on the VAC process, which probably by then it's at least 50 to 100 hospitals should be on that process by then, and quite a few more should be approved by then, and likely sales, a good chance it's 1 to 3 million in terms of sales, and at least that's what I think it will be anyway. So that 7 to 13 million kind of projection would estimate just selling just over 200 or just up to 400, kind of, well, about 430 in terms of units. So in terms of 200 to 400 units sold, those don't sound like large numbers. So in terms of like sales, I think they've got a really good chance that they're gonna go past that. But at the moment everything's conservative because it's very hard to predict. So if you imagine they get 20 level 1 hospitals onto the approved, it's more than likely that they will order more than 10 if they're going to be if they find the product useful. So that's easy 200. So like minimum 200, definitely like 400's definitely very achievable in my mind. The question is, can they get to 500, 600? At the current situation, it's very hard to kind of predict, but by the next quarter, we'll have a really good idea. Also, getting the NTAP will be massive as well, though that won't come through until October. So that's going to put the cost of the product significantly lower than it is now, and if that price of the product goes down by quite a bit, then hospitals are much more likely to consider using it going forward as well, and that lasts for 2 to 3 years. That would be enough for them to ramp up sales at a really good rate. And also for hospitals to start seeing the benefit of the product, and then after the payment expires, the product will be considered that good that they continue to order. So I think things will slowly just take care of themselves, and hopefully the share price will take care of itself in the medium to longer term. Short term, it just looks like a disaster, obviously. Like going to $1.76, that's just terrible. And brilliant value, obviously. So 300 million, including the money they've just raised, it's such a cheap valuation. But obviously, until things start looking good in terms of the sales front, the markets, it's hard to get people to, well, especially new people, to start considering and looking at things and going, oh, this company looks awesome, because their technology is, the technology is just out of this world. There's no one even close to what they have right at the moment. And as you can see, going through this process, it's a lot of resources, it's a lot of time. So it's difficult to get to where they are now, and the fact they are, it's just a shame to just see the share price just so low. And in the longer term, they're definitely worth way more than they are right now. So in terms of the dialysis, they've got about 76 patients, which they will have to run a 12-month kind of trial for. So with that, that's why they're basically looking at probably middle of next year before the trial results come out, and then they can start to put an application with the FDA, and then yeah, like things should look really good with that next year if the results are good, obviously, and then hopefully Symvess results are also really good. Yeah, until then, let me know if you have like comments or questions. Post below. I'll try not to make this video too long because sometimes I just have a fact of just rambling on. But in terms of cash and things, they're fine for now. All the problems fine. Main focus is get things aggressively sold, and hopefully a Department of Defense would make a huge difference. But we don't know when that contract will fall. Hopefully within the next quarter or two, and that'll be making a massive difference for the company. Until then, good luck investing.